So here we have my son's moped on a jack stand, and we released the spring damper unit, and we released the fuel supply because that little hose there was quite short. And the reason we did that is twofold. One is to gain more access to exchanging the cylinder and piston, because we had a malfunction. There was no oil, the oil pump malfunctioned, and so the cylinder and piston temporarily welded together and ruined each other, so we're putting on a new set. And in doing so, we noticed that the thread in here, which holds another one of these rod ends, had been cross-threaded, and we had already noticed it wasn't running properly. So when we removed the gasket, we also noticed that that gasket was partly gone there, so it was blowing by there. And now the difficult thing is we are going to put in an insert in that hole, restoring the thread, but it doesn't really work that easily because you have to drill in exactly perfectly straight. So I have a 3D printer, and I thought when I have such a tool I should use it. So what I did, I'll show you next. So this is the tool I use for that. This is not the tool, this is the fourth rod end. And these are little inserts that you screw into a new hole, and inside they fit on the original thread, and you have to cut a new thread using a tap and a drill first, of course, then a tap. And so I 3D printed these two guides. This one slides onto the three rod ends that are still there, and the drill fits in quite snugly, so that'll be a straight hole. And the second one again fits onto the same three threaded holes, and the little tap goes in perfectly straight. So that way I would know that the hole will be straight and the thread in the hole will be straight as well, I hope. So I successfully drilled the hole, which is quite difficult because it's not very much you drill away, and the drill has a tendency to bite into the material. So I run the drill at a high speed and then nudge it forward ever so slightly. But that worked perfectly, and now I've inserted I mounted the different guide and inserted the thread cutter, the tap, and I turned it in by hand as far as I can. And unfortunately I can't put a real turning device on it as I should, so unfortunately I will now have to move on by using this little tool, put it on and turn it, and be very careful, very gentle. So hope for the best. So the tapping went pretty well. I hope you can see it. It's clear, there's beautiful thread in there, but it's a hole with a bottom, and I don't know how far it'll all go in. So what I'm going to do next is take the tapping tool, and as you can see, the first part of it doesn't have any thread cutting ability. So I'm going to grind that off using a grinding wheel to cut the thread as deep as I can. And I have a bit of water here as well, because I don't want to overheat the tap. So there we go. And I take off a bit of the tap and I cool it. And I probably overdo the cooling, but I rather overdo the cooling than underdo it, if that's a word. So now the tap didn't actually bottom out as it did the first time I put it in, and I very carefully fed it in by hand. I don't want to cross thread again, of course. So now I'm going to turn it with the tool again until it bottoms out a second time, and then I should have enough thread length to put in the insert. So I want to show you something. This insert is rather short compared to the thread, but when you feed it in, it actually separates the different windings a bit. So you have 99% of the thread is covered. So you will have full grip. And this is also what the tool is based on. And a lot of people don't know that. They just screw it in and think that, hope for the best. But if I take a look at the tool, it has an opening. So you put it in, and it has this collar. And so we slide the collar towards here. So when it's fully extended, the thread, it just pops out. The little pointy bit pops out of the tool, and then you know it's deep enough and not too deep, and not, but still deep enough. So that's what this tool is for, and this collar is for. The collar, I see a lot of people using this without the collar, and that's not necessary, or not the right way to do it. Let's put it that way. You should measure how far it extends. It's a bit like this. Then you should slide the collar on there, and then you know, or you can do an extra 0.5 millimeter, so you know it's in 0.5 millimeter deep, something like that. And then you know that it's in perfect. Okay. And here we are. The threaded insert is in there. There's actually a little end on the insert. I'll show you it with another insert. That little pointy bit which you use to turn it in, and you can snap that off. But because it's a blind hole, I will not be able to get that bit out, and the insert is in deep enough so the end of the rod doesn't reach it, or exactly reaches it, hopefully. So I'll leave that bit in. No harm done. So I should now be able to thread this in without the risk of cross threading, because it's a high quality insert, and I can. And this is in the way it should be. Done. Let's rebuild the engine. Continue rebuilding the engine.